Do you often take painkillers whenever you have a headache or joint pain? I believe many of us do because they're convenient and work quickly. But as a cardiologist, I want to share some alarming information from the latest 2024 research. Over 70% of Americans over 65 are misusing NSAID painkillers, unknowingly causing serious harm to their brain and heart health. This seemingly small mistake doesn't just cause mild discomfort. It quietly triggers inflammation inside blood vessels, greatly increasing the risk of blood clots, the leading cause of stroke. Imagine how your life could change after a stroke. You might lose the ability to walk on your own, rely on others, even for basic tasks like eating or personal care, and worse, become a burden to your family, missing out on precious moments with your loved ones. In today's video, I will reveal 10 everyday habits that seem harmless but are silently damaging your brain's blood vessels. And I'm sure habit number 5. A routine most of us do every night will surprise you more than anything you've heard before. This is not a threat, but a reminder to help you take control of your health and happiness. Let's explore these habits together now. Let's start with one of the most common mistakes: overusing painkillers, especially NSAIDs. These drugs are easy to find. You can buy them at any pharmacy without a prescription, and many people are used to taking them for headaches, joint pain, or back pain. Their convenience and fast relief often make people careless, especially as they get older. But behind that temporary comfort lie many hidden risks. NSAIDs don't just irritate the stomach lining, as many have heard. They can silently raise blood pressure, tighten blood vessels, damage the heart, and increase the chance of blood clots, especially if you already have risk factors like high blood pressure, diabetes, or heart disease. One more thing to keep in mind: while low-dose aspirin 7.5–100 mg is often prescribed to help prevent blood clots, in specific medical cases, taking higher doses on your own or combining aspirin with other NSAIDs without your doctor's guidance can backfire and even become dangerous. So what should you do? Make sure to tell your doctor about all the medications you're using, including over-the-counter drugs. It might seem like a small thing, but it's extremely important. It helps your doctor fully assess your cardiovascular risks and make the best recommendations to help you prevent stroke at its root. One of the hidden culprits that quietly raises your risk of stroke is food that seems harmless: packaged snacks, frozen meals, deli meats, canned goods, and other processed foods. They're convenient, easy to buy, tasty, and often a go-to choice for quick meals in today's fast-paced lifestyle. But that convenience comes with serious risks to your blood vessels and brain health. These types of food are usually high in salt, refined sugars, saturated fat, and especially trans fats, all of which can harm your cardiovascular system if consumed regularly. High sodium levels cause your body to retain water, which raises blood pressure, a major risk factor for stroke. Trans fats, commonly found in fried foods, packaged pastries, or anything cooked in reused oil, increase your bad cholesterol (LDL), leading to plaque buildup that narrows and hardens the arteries, including those in the brain. That's not all. Added sugars in sweetened drinks, candy, and many boxed breakfast cereals contribute to weight gain and insulin resistance, key factors behind obesity and type 2 diabetes, both of which are linked to stroke. Another concern is that processed foods often lack essential nutrients that protect blood vessels, like vitamins, minerals, and fiber, which are abundant in fresh whole foods. This nutritional gap can also lead to chronic inflammation in the body, a condition increasingly linked to heart disease and stroke. So, what's the solution? Choose natural whole foods whenever possible, like fresh vegetables, whole fruits, whole grains, legumes, fish, skinless lean meats, and healthy fats from avocados, nuts, or olive oil. Cooking at home with fresh ingredients not only helps you control how much salt, sugar, and fat you're eating, it also ensures your body gets the key nutrients it needs to keep your heart and brain strong for years to come. One serious but very common mistake is underestimating high blood pressure, the #1 risk factor for stroke. When blood pressure stays high over time, it puts constant strain on the walls of your blood vessels, including the tiny ones that supply your brain. This isn't just a short-term issue, it's a slow-moving but extremely dangerous process. That constant pressure causes the blood vessels to become stiff and thick over time, leading to a condition called atherosclerosis. The plaque buildup from atherosclerosis can restrict blood flow to the brain, reducing oxygen supply to brain cells. Even worse, if one of these plaques breaks apart, it can form a clot that blocks blood flow, completely causing an ischemic stroke. On the flip side, if blood vessels become too weak from years of high pressure, they can rupture, leading to bleeding in the brain, a very dangerous type of stroke called a hemorrhagic stroke. The good news is you can take steps to manage this condition. Start with a heart-healthy diet that's low in salt-saturated fat and trans fat. The DASH diet, often recommended by heart experts, is a proven way to help control blood pressure. Along with healthy eating, regular physical activity, maintaining a healthy weight, managing stress, limiting alcohol, and completely avoiding tobacco are all essential steps. If you've been prescribed medication for high blood pressure, it's important to take it exactly as directed. Don't skip doses or adjust it on your own. And don't forget to monitor your blood pressure regularly. Keeping track helps both you and your doctor stay informed about how you're doing, so any necessary changes can be made in time to effectively lower your stroke risk. One powerful yet often overlooked factor that raises your risk of stroke is poor management of diabetes. People with diabetes are about 1.5 times more likely to have a stroke than those without the condition, and that increased risk comes down to how high blood sugar affects the body's blood vessels, especially those supplying the brain. When blood sugar stays high over time, it doesn't just cause short-term harm, it leaves lasting damage to the vessel walls. Excess sugar in the bloodstream causes blood vessels to become thicker and stiffer, reducing their ability to stretch and carry blood efficiently. This raises the risk of plaque buildup, which narrows the arteries and slows the flow of oxygen-rich blood to the brain. As a result, the chances of blood clots and blockages in brain arteries go up, leading to ischemic stroke. And diabetes rarely comes alone. It often goes hand in hand with high blood pressure and high cholesterol, making stroke risk even harder to manage. What makes this more concerning is that damage to the blood vessels usually happens silently with no clear symptoms until something serious occurs. By that point, the brain may already have suffered damage that can't be reversed. That's why it's absolutely essential to stay on top of your diabetes. So, what can you do? Stick closely to a diabetes-friendly meal plan, focus on high-fiber foods like vegetables and whole grains, and cut back on refined sugars and unhealthy fats. Also, don't skip your regular checkups. Keeping track of your blood sugar, HbA1c levels, and heart-related numbers is key. Making timely adjustments to your treatment plan doesn't just help you manage diabetes better. It plays a critical role in preventing serious complications like stroke and protecting your brain for the long run. Fifth, we need to take a serious look at a very common issue that's often underestimated: a sedentary lifestyle. Sitting too much and not getting enough physical activity doesn't just affect your weight or daily energy. It quietly contributes to several major risk factors for stroke. When you don't move enough, it's easier to gain weight and build up excess fat, putting more strain on your heart and blood vessels. Extra weight often comes hand in hand and with high blood pressure. Unstable cholesterol levels and a higher risk of type 2 diabetes, all key contributors to stroke. Inactivity also makes it harder to control blood pressure since regular movement naturally helps lower it. Physical activity lowers bad cholesterol, LDL, and boosts good cholesterol, HDL, helping to protect your arteries. For people with diabetes, being inactive makes it harder for the body to use insulin, which leads to higher blood sugar levels. What's more, when you're not active on a regular basis, your blood vessels lose the flexibility they need to function properly, weakening the entire circulatory system. On the other hand, even moderate, consistent activity helps keep blood vessels elastic and healthy. This is key to making sure your brain always gets enough blood and oxygen, reducing the chance of sudden blockages. The good news is you don't have to become an athlete to see the benefits. Even small changes like taking the stairs instead of the elevator, going for a short walk during lunch, or tending to your garden can make a difference. The important thing is to find a type of activity you enjoy and that fits your lifestyle and make it part of your daily routine. It won't just lower your stroke risk, it can also boost your mood and overall quality of life. Sixth, let's talk about a sweet but risky culprit: consuming too much sugar. While sugar is found in many of our favorite foods and drinks, taking in too much of it can set off a chain reaction that harms your heart health and raises your risk of stroke in multiple ways. First, sugar adds empty calories without the nutrients your body needs, making it easier to gain weight and become obese, a major risk factor for stroke. Second, long-term high sugar intake increases your chances of developing type 2 diabetes. This condition not only affects blood sugar, but also damages blood vessels throughout the body, including the tiny ones that supply the brain, raising the risk of blockages or ruptures that can lead to stroke. Even more concerning, high sugar intake, especially from fructose, which is common in corn syrup, and many processed drinks, can raise triglycerides and bad cholesterol, LDL, while lowering good cholesterol, HDL. This imbalance speeds up the process of atherosclerosis, or plaque buildup in the arteries, a key factor behind both ischemic and hemorrhagic strokes. On top of that, high sugar intake is also linked to high blood pressure, another often overlooked risk when it comes to the effects of sugar. You can take control of this risk by starting with a few simple but powerful habits. Get used to reading nutrition labels so you can spot added sugars in packaged foods. Cut back as much as possible on soda-sweetened teas, bottled juices, and other sugary drinks. Also, try to limit desserts, sugary breakfast cereals, and sweet snacks in your daily diet. When you crave something sweet, go for natural options like fresh fruit. It satisfies your taste buds while supporting your overall health, especially your heart and brain. Seventh, one of the most common but silent threats to your blood vessel health and a major contributor to stroke risk is consuming too much salt in your daily diet. While sodium is an essential mineral that helps maintain fluid balance and nerve function, too much of it quickly turns into a silent enemy for your heart and brain. When you eat too much salt, your body holds onto extra water to balance the sodium levels in your blood. This increases your blood volume, which puts more pressure on artery walls. The result? Your blood pressure starts to rise, and when this continues over time, it can lead to chronic high blood pressure, the single biggest risk factor for stroke. High blood pressure damages the small blood vessels in your brain, making them less flexible and more likely to burst, causing a hemorrhagic stroke, or become blocked by a clot, causing an ischemic stroke. A high-sodium diet also puts extra strain on your entire cardiovascular system, forcing your heart to work harder just to keep blood moving. That's why the American Heart Association recommends that adults limit sodium intake to no more than 200-300 milligrams per day, and ideally keep it below 1,500 milligrams, especially for those with a history of high blood pressure or heart disease. So how can you cut back on salt effectively? Start by choosing fresh, unprocessed foods like vegetables, fruits, and fresh cuts of meat or fish over canned, frozen, or prepackaged items, which often hide high levels of sodium. When cooking at home, use natural herbs and spices like garlic, onion, black pepper, ginger, lemon, or fresh herbs to add flavor without needing extra salt. Also, get in the habit of reading food labels, even items that seem light like bread. Breakfast cereals, sauces, or snacks can contain surprising amounts of hidden sodium. Controlling your salt intake is a vital step in protecting your arteries, keeping your blood pressure in check, and significantly lowering your long-term risk of stroke. Eighth, there's a simple habit that's often overlooked in our busy lives: not drinking enough water. It might seem like a small thing, but chronic dehydration can seriously impact your brain and circulatory health, raising your risk of stroke in more ways than you might think. Water plays a key role in keeping your blood thin and flowing smoothly. When your body doesn't get enough fluids, your blood becomes thicker and less flexible. This slows down circulation and makes it easier for blood clots to form, especially in people who already have underlying heart or vascular risks. These clots can travel to the brain and block blood flow, causing an ischemic stroke, the most common type and a leading cause of death and long-term disability. Dehydration also forces your heart to work harder to pump blood throughout the body, increasing the strain on your cardiovascular system. Some studies have also shown that dehydration can affect your blood pressure, causing it to swing unpredictably and destabilize circulation, which further increase the risk of stroke and other vascular complications. So, how much water is enough? It depends on factors like your body weight, activity level, and environment. But according to the U.S. National Academy of Medicine, men should aim for about 13 cups, around 3 liters of fluids per day, while women should aim for about 9 cups, around 2.2 liters. This includes not just plain water, but also fluids from soups, fruits, and vegetables. You can build a better hydration habit with one simple change: carry a reusable water bottle with you and take small sips throughout the day. Staying properly hydrated not only helps you feel more alert and energized, but also supports healthy circulation, reduces the risk of blood clots, and protects your brain from dangerous complications like stroke. Ninth, one of the most dangerous but entirely preventable stroke risk factors is smoking. While it may seem like a personal habit, smoking has deep and damaging effects on your entire cardiovascular system, especially the brain. Every time you inhale cigarette smoke, thousands of toxic chemicals, including nicotine, carbon monoxide, and known carcinogens, enter your bloodstream and travel throughout your body, including your brain. Smoking causes serious harm to your blood vessels. These harmful chemicals inflame and damage the blood vessel walls, making them less flexible and narrower, perfect conditions for plaque buildup. As these plaques accumulate, they restrict blood flow to the brain, increasing the risk of ischemic stroke. Smoking also thickens the blood and makes it more prone to clotting, which raises the chances of a clot traveling to the brain and blocking an artery. Nicotine also raises your blood pressure, a major and persistent risk factor for stroke, and smoking lowers the oxygen levels in your blood, depriving your brain of the oxygen it needs to function properly. Even worse, smoking weakens the walls of blood vessels, making them more likely to rupture, especially the small vessels in the brain. This is how hemorrhagic strokes occur, one of the most dangerous forms of stroke with high rates of death and long-term disability. According to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC smokers are 2 to 4 times more likely to have a stroke than non-smokers, and the longer or heavier the smoking history, the higher the risk. The good news is that you can dramatically lower your stroke risk with just one decision: quit smoking. The benefits begin within hours. Your blood pressure starts to drop, circulation improves and oxygen levels in your blood rise. Within a few years, your stroke risk can drop to nearly the same level as someone who never smoked. And you don't have to do it alone. Support programs, professional counseling, nicotine replacement therapies, and prescription medications can all help make quitting more manageable and effective. Don't hesitate to ask for help. Quitting smoking is one of the most powerful choices you can make to protect your heart, your brain, and your future. And finally, there's one common habit that carries serious hidden risks for your brain: drinking too much alcohol. While small amounts of alcohol may not be harmful, and some studies even suggest potential heart benefits for certain individuals, once it goes beyond moderation, alcohol becomes a clear and powerful risk factor for stroke. Heavy drinking can raise your blood pressure, and if it stays high over time, it can lead to chronic hypertension, one of the top causes of stroke. Excessive alcohol use is also linked to a higher risk of atrial fibrillation, a common type of irregular heartbeat. In this condition, the heart beats unevenly, allowing blood to pool in the heart chambers and form clots. If a clot travels to the brain, it can block blood flow and cause an ischemic stroke. Beyond that, drinking regularly over time can weaken the heart muscle, reducing its ability to pump blood effectively. When circulation suffers, the brain doesn't receive enough oxygen and nutrients, raising the risk of stroke. Alcohol can also interfere with the body's natural clotting function and increase the risk of bleeding in the brain, leading to hemorrhagic stroke, which is especially dangerous. Another often overlooked issue is that alcohol can negatively interact with certain medications, including blood thinners, commonly prescribed to help prevent stroke in high-risk individuals. According to U.S. health guidelines, moderate alcohol use is defined as no more than 1 drink per day for women and no more than 2 drinks per day for men. 1 drink is considered to be 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, or 1.5 ounces of 80-proof liquor. If you're drinking more than this, cutting back or quitting altogether can be a crucial step to protect your brain, stabilize your blood pressure, and significantly lower your risk of stroke. And if you're having trouble controlling your drinking, don't hesitate to seek help from your doctor, counseling programs, or professional support groups. The good news is most strokes can be prevented if you take action, starting with small everyday changes. Keep watching our upcoming videos to learn more practical ways to protect your brain and support long-term health.